everybody, and welcome to episode 56 of the Casual Gamecast, a weekly video game podcast for the everyday gamer, brought to you by the team at Casual Game Content. I, as usual, am Phil Kyo, but I am joined by the wonderful group that I have here before me, ladies and gentlemen. If you are on YouTube, where you can find us at Casual Game Content, you can see them and you've already been aware of how beautiful they are. But if you are listening at home, let me introduce you. First of all, we have the recurring Red Menace, Shane Bow. Hello, Shane.
Hello.
We of course have the CGC Badger. I don't know why that stuck with you now, Aaron, but it has.
I'll take it. I live in a hole in the ground.
Aaron Thompson, your resident hole-dwelling mammal. But we also get joined once again, we didn't scare her off, maybe third time's the charm, by the lovely Kerri Corrigan. Hello, Kerri.
Hello.
I feel like I said hello to you there, kind of like a 1950s political straw hat wearing guy, like, oh, hello, Kerri.
That's fine. I'll take it. It's grand.
Oh, you're too good. If you have never been here before, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to what is by far the most casual of gaming podcasts in the universe, a Casual Gamecast, if you will. And if you have been here before, welcome back and thank you for the support, because we have a great show for you this week. This week, guys, we're going to dive into what we've been playing. We're also going to catch up with each other over the week. It's nice to do that. Come on. And then we are going to jump into a quick break where you might hear an ad and hear about our socials before we come back and talk about what happened in this week in gaming and what do we particularly care about. Then we're going to wrap it all up, guys, with the community question of the week, which this week comes from our Facebook community, the Casual Game Community. Not to be confused with Casual Game Content. I was told recently that is confusing. But the Casual Game Community, where you can also get in on that question asking action if you so choose. But this week it comes from old friend Stephen Lennon, who asked, and forgive me as I read from the doc, what exclusive from Xbox would you want on PlayStation, or vice versa? He gave some examples, but that's the core of the question. You know, Halo, Uncharted, that type of thing. What is locked on one platform you'd want to see jump onto another? And I'd say let's extend that. Maybe throw in Nintendo into that. Maybe throw PC into that. If there's something that is just locked somewhere you'd like to see everybody else get a go off of, that's the one. And if you at home have any suggestions, you should put that in the comments down below wherever you're listening to this, whether it's on all of our podcatchers, whether it's on ours as if we own them, whether it's on our YouTube channel, or if it's just in the Facebook community or in our Discord or wherever you find us, let us know. But if you want to know what we think, stick around to the end. Now, as per usual, I'm going to take a quick break, grab myself another breath, because I need to know, how has the week been? Shane?
I've had a busy week this week. I have news. I have things to talk about. Well, I have a thing to talk about.
God almighty, am I setting the other two up for a fail now? It's just like, should I come to you last?
No, not really. No, not really. So, like, earlier on in our group chat, I was putting together the doc, and I texted and apologized and said it for the reason I was late. The doc was late, so I apologized for being late, and I said you will find out the reason on the show when we're chatting.
Okay. My mind has been racing with the possibilities of what this could have been.
I was going to ask you to guess, but I'm not. We'll move on. So myself and my partner are fostering a dog for the LSPCA, which is the Leash Society for the Protection of Animals, or whatever. Awesome charity, local to Leash, that help little doggies. I'm sure there's like a Cork SPCA.
Yep, CSPCA.
You know, yeah, they're everywhere. They're all over the country. So this is specifically the Leash one. So we're fostering a male shepherd mix. We don't know what he's mixed with. His name is Cody. He's a lovely dog. He's really nice. It's a lot of work though, because we already have a dog, and you know, there's some teething issues. They're getting to know each other. There's a bit of snapping and a bit of this is my turf. No, it's my turf. Also, our own dog is female and he's male. Now they're both neutered, but there's still a little bit of, like, you know, male female kind of. I want to be the controlling one. You know what it's like with the animal kingdom. So that's why the doc was late, because my partner was working today, and as of yet, I can't walk the two dogs together.
Okay.
Because Cody's a little skittish on the lead, and he's a little kind of afraid of men, because as far as we know, he came from an abusive background. We're not really sure.
Yeah.
but I can't walk them together because sometimes when I'm walking too close to him, he kind of jumps and freaks out a little bit because I'm male. Now, he's warming to me, but obviously wherever he came from, he had some issues with men.
Yep.
So I had to do 2 walks today. I had to walk both dogs separately, which takes up a chunk of my day. And then I kind of have to keep an eye on them a lot so they're not like murdering each other when my back is turned. But it's a great experience. It's fun. Like, it's great to see the dog coming over Michelle each day. We have him since Monday.
Yeah.
So and today is Thursday time of recording. So like, it's cool to see him get that little bit, like he's warming to me a bit more. He's approaching me like to get some pats on the head and stuff like that. Whereas the first day, if I stood up off the chair, he'd run a mile.
Yeah.
So it's nice and it's rewarding. It is. It's tough. Don't get me wrong. It's hard. It's not all like, oh, it's another dog in the house running around playing. Everything's grand. Like, these dogs come from bad places. They have behavioral problems. They need training. But it's been interesting, and it's our first time out. And I think we got a relatively good one for our first time out. Like, we could have got some crazy dog that was trying to, tear holes in the wall and rip our own dog's legs off or whatever. But we didn't.
I think the association knows not to give them to the first people.
True, yeah. But like, he's a lovely dog. He's also up for homing if anyone is interested. Not specifically you guys, but anyone listening to the show. His name is Cody. He's a like I said, he's a collie type, so he's quite smart, quite energetic. But he's up for homing if, anyone out there listening in podcast land or YouTube land is looking to maybe adopt a dog.
There you go. Shane, the local dog peddler.
Yeah, there you go. That's my news. That's why the docket was late today, because I was looking after dogs.
That's lovely. That's nice. And my dad does that. He takes in dogs a lot, and he's quite good with them. So it's nice to see that. It's nice to do that.
Yeah.
There are plenty of animals out there who don't get a second chance.
Exactly. Like, and he was coming from the pound, and if he stayed in the pound longer, with county pounds,
he moved
and stuff,
to the farm. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We won't go too deep into it. So at least he's been rescued from that fate.
Yes, this is true. You guys, do you have pets like Kerri and Aaron? This is something I don't know. Do you guys actually have pets?
I do, yeah. I do. Yeah, I have 2 little dogs. We also we didn't get one from the pound. One was running on the road. The secondary school I went to is out in the country, and there's a long country road out in it, and he was running back and forth. And so with buses and the amount of traffic that goes back and forth to school on blind bends, we were like, right, you're coming home with us. And he was the same. He was the same as what you're saying, Shane. He was very scared. Even still, we've had him about 7 years now, and the chap is frightened of the hose. So whatever happened with a garden hose, whenever he sees it, he'll go, right, I'm off to the far end of the garden. But
dogs are sometimes just weird though as well. Sometimes they'll just pick something and no, I'm never trusting that thing.
Yeah, that could be it as well. Like, you could be humanizing just something as simple as he's like, yeah, I just don't like garden hoses.
Snake.
Yeah. But so then we got another one from the pound who's the same breed as the original, and so they're the 2 best buds at the office now. My parents won't let me rename them Greg and David. I just think they'd be funny dog names. And I want to put them in suits and ties and say that they're the 2 bestest buds in the dog pound. But yeah, so I have the 2 of them. That's all my pet listings.
Wow, your pet listings, and quite the listing there was. That sounds lovely. Kerri, what about you?
I have 3 cats, which I'm aware sounds dangerously close to a crazy cat lady.
3 cats?
Yes.
Wow.
But in fairness, I started with 2, and then they did things, and they ended up with kittens, and I had to keep one.
Of course.
So I now have 3, and they're amazing, but they're also the bane of my life. So there's that.
Sometimes you get unlucky with cats. Like, sometimes cats are really low maintenance, and then sometimes you get cats that are like, no, we are going to like annoy the crap out of you all day long and look for attention constantly. Like, it's just a look at the draw with cats, I find.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Fun fact about Phil: deathly allergic to cats.
Oh dear.
I actually like cats to a degree. I'm a dog person, but I do like cats when they're not assholes. But like, I figured this out only like, I think I've talked about this in the podcast before. About 5 or 6 years ago, I picked up a buddy's cat, and I was like just messing with it. It was a lovely little thing, and over time, throughout the day, my eyes started swelling and like my throat closed in, and I was like, oh crap, I was like this close to needing an EpiPen.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, my mum's the very same as that. She's very allergic, and it was probably one of the meanest things I've ever done in my life when we were out at a friend's house. I was only about maybe, I'd say 7 or 8, and he had a load of cats, and they were all sitting out in the garden chatting, my parents and his parents, and I just brought one of the cats over and went, how allergic to cats are you really? And just put it in her lap, and she wasn't happy.
Sorry for laughing, Aaron's ma, but that is
it didn't affect her too bad. She's still down in the sitting room now, so it's
propped up, like, you know.
Yeah, it's just a weekend at Bernie's thing going on.
Just like if you pull the blanket off her, it's just EpiPens stuck everywhere.
Good God. Well, this is the nice tangent that we took from Shane's lovely act of adopting a dog. So I'm terrified to ask around the room about what else we did. Before we go into what we've been playing this week, does anybody have anything interesting that they just have to get off their chest, or should we move on?
No.
I'll take that as a resounding no. So with that, how about we just jump straight into what we've been playing this week, because I've got some stuff I want to talk about. With that, play that thing.
All right, stranger. What are you playing?
Now we are back, and sorry, you just cut that bit out. So, what have we been playing this week? I'm going to go around the room because I'm going to probably park on mine for a minute, and Shane, I suspect you might too. So let's start off with Aaron. Aaron, what have you been playing this week, my man?
It's been a very chill week for games for me because I've been quite busy. My evenings taken up between other things. So when I have got the chance to play games, I've just been sitting down to more Planet Zoo. I mentioned it last week. I go through. It's one of those games where you just kind of go through waves of where you'll open it some days and be like, it's a lot of effort, and then other days you're like, no, I must build.
Build it, and they shall come.
Yeah, and so I'm in that sort of mindset now. I'm just sitting down, throwing in a couple of hours every night, building extra like caves, putting in more plants before I let the animals loose in the exhibit, and just making it look nice and presentable and postable somewhere whenever I muster up the courage to post me enclosures somewhere. And that's about me.
I'd love to see that. Please put that up in the Facebook or the Discord or somewhere.
I will. I'll post up the one I've been building for the past week because it came out quite nice for now.
Oh, even like before and after, it's like, you know, like you can kind of like, you know, 2 weeks in type thing, or, you know, not quite sure about these curtains, you know.
I'll get some lovely cinematic screenshots of the foxes playing in their
You should do a time lapse and put up a video of like from nothing to enclosure.
Yeah, just record your entire play session of like 100 hours of Planet Zoo, and then just show us it in 5 seconds.
I haven't recorded it yet, so what I'll do is I'll just start recording now, dismantle it, and then reverse the footage.
Perfect. Right, get on it.
Nice.
Right, so with that then, Kerri, have you been playing anything this week?
Mainly Destiny.
Nice. I've been wanting to ask you, what's happening in Destiny these days?
So the same thing as when I spoke about it last time.
Okay.
But this season is going to go on a little bit longer because there will be the expansion of the Witch Queen in February, so it's going to be a longer season. Mm-hmm. But the harder content is coming in October, so there's just a bit of a power grind at the moment to get your light level up to be able to play the harder content in October. So that is what I have been doing with my time off. I have dipped into another game, but I haven't played it enough yet to be able to give much on that.
Sure.
But yeah, mostly it's Destiny, and I've loved every minute of it, to be honest.
And so when you grind in Destiny, is it still light? Wasn't that the kind of currency of strength in Destiny, was how much light you had or something?
Yeah, so the power level, so you'll get weapons that are capped at a certain level, and once you are at the highest you can get with weapons and gear, you then have to work on your like base level, which can be done from bounties and experience and strikes. So it's a grind, but in my opinion, it's worth it. I know there is a lot of people in the Destiny community that aren't very happy at the moment because they feel that it's just the same thing that's being churned out the whole time. And I do see that, but I still enjoy it and I still get fun out of it. So I'm still happy with it.
Is there truth in what they're saying though? Is it from your, first-hand experience? Is it more new content or is it more of the same?
So with the seasons, I feel like it's more of the same, just wearing a different outfit almost.
Okay.
So you get new weapons, but the activities are basically the same, just altered ever so slightly. Which is fine, but it does get a bit repetitive. So I think I say everyone, I know a lot of people are clinging on to hope of the Witch Queen. But I still think it's a great game, and it's, regardless what I'm playing, I will always go back to Destiny, which I think is a pretty good sign of a game.
Yeah, yeah. God, ain't nobody here, trying to take that away. No, for sure. I'm always interested because we play so many, like myself and Shane and Aaron are always like jumping around onto something different. Like, I respect the hell out of somebody that can put that much time into something like that, because like, you're seeing end game stuff, you're seeing stuff that we can't even fathom, and it's always great to get that opinion. But I will definitely check back in. When's the new DLC coming out?
February.
Okay, so we've got a bit of grinding to do between now and then, is that right?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Okay. We're going to check in on how you're doing next week if you're still here. Shane, what about you, my friend?
Yes. I am still playing Hades. I love Hades. Scream it from the rooftops. Hades is amazing.
I told
Hades
you.
is fantastic. A
couple of weeks back. It's probably the best game of last year.
It really is. I can see now what all the hullabaloo online was about when I was going on to whatever gaming sites or any Facebook, Twitter, or anything. It was always Hades this, Hades that, Hades everything. So I'm at a point now where, for anyone who's played it will know, I have escaped twice.
Okay.
So You've gone further than me. I've seen to the end as such.
Yes, it's like 20 times or something you have to escape or something, isn't it?
Oh, it's a ridiculous amount of like if you really want to do everything that game has to offer with each individual weapon and unlock all the stuff, like you're talking about escaping like God knows how many times, but like you get it down to like escaping and basically finishing the game in like 30 minutes.
Right.
Once you get good, once you escape once, the game kind of seems less daunting, challenge-wise. You kind of know everything that's coming and what to expect. And, like, it's really enjoyable and it's really satisfying to escape. Like, it's worth it. And then it just becomes about, okay, so I escaped using the shield weapon, and that unlocked, like, every time you beat a boss with the shield weapon, you get a special item or whatever. Okay. But if I go back again now with the shield weapon and try to escape, I don't get those special items from the bosses. Like, there's a special currency you can get by beating them or whatever that you can spend to buy upgrades or whatever. When you go back a second time, you don't get the special currency. You get the lesser currency. So the idea is then you switch to a new weapon and try beat the game with that weapon.
Yeah. It's really good in that way, isn't it?
It's great.
It has many different ways to kind of irk you into playing differently, which is lovely, because if you're going to play the same thing again and again and again, like most gamers, like me in particular, will want to just keep trying the one thing again and again and again and get bored.
Yeah.
But you're right. It masterfully kind of makes you switch tact,
Yes, it really does. And like even each weapon, then you can unlock special abilities which change how the weapon handles. And if you beat it with the special ability turned on, it's like using a new weapon all over again, and you get the special rewards again. And it unlocks, like, for beating the game, and now I've unlocked I can't remember the exact name of it, but I can set modifiers to make the game harder to get better rewards. I can, like, increased enemy health or decreased health for my character or any of that kind of stuff. There's even new characters that I never met until I completed the game. Like, you have to complete the game for some characters to even pop up. And now I'm really starting to learn about, like, the power of builds and picking the right perks as you meet characters that offer you perks throughout the game. And specking the right things to, like, just have some fun with it now and just have the crack and see how many times I can beat it until I get bored. I don't know if I'm going to see everything that game has to offer, but I'm going to see a hell of a lot of it.
Yeah, fair play, man. I got to the Minotaur fight before
Yes.
Ghost of Tsushima came out, and I remember that kicked my ass twice, and I meant to go back to it, and I just haven't yet.
It's a tough fight. It is a tough fight.
Yeah,
it is. A lot of people I've talked to have been like, man, that boss fight in Elysium is just,
it's pretty hardcore, alright.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's super fun. I'm delighted you enjoyed it after your struggle with Returnal.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I'm sold again on rogue games, and I was talking to a friend today about Deathloop, which sounds a bit roguey as well, and I'm kind of interested to get going on that too.
Deathloop as well, like, maybe we'll talk about it in the news, but like, that's gotten really like Marmite reviews. Like, people are either giving it a 10 or saying it's fine. It's really weird. IGN gave it a 10. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, not a roguelike type game, but I'm looking forward to playing that when it inevitably comes to Game Pass next year. With that, I have been playing something that I put off playing because I was waiting for a deep sale, and then that PlayStation event made me give Sony another $70 or whatever. I finally bought Spider-Man Miles Morales with the old one remastered bonus content or whatever. Man, that Spider-Man 2 trailer got me. I was like, no, I really want to replay that on the PS5. And I went back and I have played through the old game with the PS5 remaster or whatever, and I'm like halfway through Miles Morales in the space of this week. It's phenomenal on the PS5, isn't it? Wow, it's really, really good. It's like the I think it's hard to argue that it's not the best superhero type game ever made. Like, it's so, and especially on the PS5 where it's so fluid, and the reflections, like, I don't really care that much about ray tracing and stuff like that, but like, this game is kind of making me think maybe I do care, because like, I'm playing it in that mode that's like 60 frames a second with some ray tracing. And there's just moments where it's just like, holy shit, this is really cool, really, really good looking because of it. Like, there was a moment towards the end where, like, minor spoilers, where like Doc Ock is like fighting me on the side of a building, and it's like real passionate and dramatic. He has me by the neck and he's, giving me his soliloquy or whatever. And I'm seeing the reflection of my face talking inside his goggle. Like, there's just a little tiny reflection, and that's 100% ray traced. And it was just like, that was not there before. And it's like all these, because you spend a lot of time around glass and marble and stuff like that, like in these Spider-Man games, it turns out, because I'm looking all over the place and seeing reflections, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I went off I played Miles Morales on the PS5, and absolutely, like, sexy out, you know what I mean? Like, just like, it's so good to look at. Like, you find yourself just stopping sometimes and purposely sticking to the side of a skyscraper to go, hey, look, it's me, look, I can see myself in the window. Hey.
Yeah, it's true. And like, Miles Morales, first thing I wanted to talk about this, I remember I said I had thoughts, is, okay, remember in that trailer where we saw Venom pop up, and I was like, wow, they're really throwing everything at this. That happened in the first game, and I forgot. So at the end of the first game, and minor spoilers if you've not played this game that's like 3 years old now at this point, so skip 30 seconds. But in the end, in the post-credits scene, Norman Osborn goes in, and Harry has been diseased, and he's in a containment tube or whatever for this entire game. And he's like, I nearly cured you, but don't worry, son, I will do so. And then he kind of like puts his hand up against the glass, and then like a black symbiote kind of like web comes up and meets his hand from the inside. So Harry is Venom. Like, they put it right there, and I forgot about it completely. So like, it makes sense now that Venom is in the second game. But that was just something I forgot. The one thing that has been bothering me is the change of the actor of Spider-Man. Do you remember this?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they changed the actor completely and mo-capped him or something again, didn't they?
They put in a completely different dude. It's like, and I don't even care about the fact that it's a different guy. It's a worse guy. you know, and it's like he has no emotions. It's like the other guy was kind of like enigmatic or whatever. He was kind of human looking. This guy looks like. Do you remember that Will Smith film that I've referenced in the past? Is it AI or no? iRobot. He looks like an iRobot. He's just so stiff and stilted and weird, and he doesn't sound. It doesn't sound like his voice. It's a weird thing. But speaking of sounding like your voice, Miles Morales, he sounds completely different from Spider-Man to his own game, and in his own game, he sounds like 5 or 6 years younger. They raised the octave of his voice to make him sound real childlike. Maybe because he's like the sidekick in this or something. But like he goes from like being like a young man to be like being oh my, you know. it's a real strange transition. Like
that is, I never noticed that because I had the 3 or 4 year gap or whatever between Spider-Man and Miles Morales. So I never got to go back and see the other actor, only in like YouTube videos and stuff. What was their logic behind changing him? Did they do ever say why?
I think do you remember in The Simpsons where they were inventing Poochie and the suit came in and went, can we like Rastafarian him up at 10%? I think this was just like, can we Tom Holland him about 80%?
Right. I get you now, yeah. So I don't know. I don't experience with Spider-Man, and I don't experience it with Miles Morales either because of the gap. But now I kind of want to go back and play Spider-Man to see.
Oh, I highly recommend it. And I just played the main story for the most part. Like I only did side stuff to buy upgrades and then moved the hell on. You know, like I wasn't there for the long haul, and it took me like I think less than 15 hours. It was breezy, you know. But yeah, it was good. It was good, and I highly recommend you at home, if you haven't jumped in to the Web Swingers campaign, do so. But that is what we've been playing this week. How about we take a really quick break, tell people about our socials. If you're listening to this, you might hear an ad. And when we come back, we're going to jump into what happened this week in gaming. Okay? Stick around. Play that thing. Hey there! If you want to keep up with all things casual game content, you can do so in a number of ways. The easiest way to do so is to follow us on all of our socials at Casual Game Co. Not content because you only get 15 characters, but hey, what can you do? At Casual Game Co. That's at CASUALGAMECO. Can't be any simpler than that on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And when you're at Facebook, look for the group, the Casual Game Community. It's a good bunch. We're going to love you. Come on by. If you could do us a massive favor, like the podcast, review the podcast, and just tell a friend about the podcast. It goes a long way. And you can find all of our content on podcast forums, wherever you get your podcasts, by searching for Casual Game Cast. Thanks again for all of your help and all of your support. It means the absolute world to us. Now, back to the show. And folks, we are back. Now, what happened in the news this week? Last week we got an awful lot of perspective in what's going to happen with Sony, and I think a lot of the news outlets were drowned by this was announced and that was announced and this was announced, even though most of those games aren't going to see light of day until 2023 at earliest. But we did have a couple of things pop up, and I like the news this week. It's conversational. There's nice little tidbits, some little tiny things that would fly under the radar that I'm pretty excited about, actually. The first of which, ladies and gentlemen, Shane, the Nintendo Switch. Are you familiar with its work?
I am, yeah. I know it from a distance. I don't own one, but I admire from afar, like a weirdo in the bushes.
Hey, you behind the Nintendo bushes. Yeah, the Nintendo Switch has been around for 4.5 years now. Okay, wrap your mind around that for a second. But most interestingly, it hasn't ever got a price drop. Now, it has, as of this week coming, in Europe specifically, but not in any other region. This is interesting to say the least. But let me just put this out to the room here first of all, before we even dive into the Nintendo thing. How bizarre and how Nintendo is it to say, here's our console, everybody goes nuts buying it. 5 years later, are you going to make it cheaper? No. Like, you're just, we'll buy it. Why would I make my crack any cheaper? You know?
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I'm very tempted. The only reason I didn't get one was my justification was I felt like I didn't travel enough, if that makes sense, to get at the, like I didn't want to be getting like a Nintendo. I didn't want to get like a handheld just to sit in my room and play it. I did have one for, I think, a couple of weeks. My cousin lent me his so that I could play Breath of the Wild, and that was my Switch experience, and I loved it, and I do want to get one. There's games on it I do want to play, and the price drop I'm happy with. It probably, I'll leave it another while until we get to a stage where I actually am like getting up and traveling and going seeing the world, because it's such a handy thing to have with you if you're going on planes or buses or trains or what have you. But
yes, that's fair. And then where we are now currently is an interesting situation, because Europe, as I mentioned, is getting this price drop, and it's about 50 quid of a price drop. We're talking €330 down to 280. And that's like a price drop you generally see like a year into a console generation, 2 years, 3 years maybe, you know, but like they've gone through 3 console revisions at this point, and this is the first time they've said, okay, take 50 off. But only in Europe, which is really surprising. So they have said that they don't have any plans to roll this out in the US and what have you. So I wonder, Shane, you work for the gaming retailer whose name we shall not speak. Does that indicate that maybe this is like an EU thing? Like, is there some regulation at play, I wonder, where maybe, because like, why else would they do it in one region? Like, maybe it's like, okay, guys, you're on the market 5 years and you haven't given a price drop to the consumer. Like, maybe there's some consumer right thing at play.
Possibly. That is possible, because like the EU has loads of mad regulations and stuff. Although
European Union for life.
Yeah, although it is getting a price drop in the UK as well, which leads me to believe maybe it's not just an EU thing, because they're not technically part of the European Union anymore. They're still in Europe, but they're not part of the European Union. So, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to get into the minutiae.
I don't know why I got so political there, but we're really stepping on fire here.
Yeah, it's a strange one, but like it's going to lead to more people buying Switches, of course.
Yes, and that's why I'm surprised they're not doing it in the US, because that would definitely cause a bit of a fervor for more Switch sales.
And it is the one complaint I hear the most from customers is, like, they'll come in and they'll be asking about buying a Switch or whatever, and they'll be like, I was looking at this, like, it was 3 or 4 years ago for my kid, and it was €330 then. Why is it still €330? I was like, that's Nintendo. They're not known for price drops. The only big time they were known for price drop was with like the 3DS or something, because they priced it too high to begin with, because nobody would buy it at the original like RRP or whatever. So it's going to get more Switches into more people's hands, so it's smart that way.
Yes,
and I suppose with their new OLED Switch coming, like the new OLED Switch is like what, €360 ish, €370, something like that.
Yep. Something like that.
So it's not much of a difference between the base model and the OLED model. And a lot of people are just going to end up going with the base model. So I think they're trying to make their OLED one look that little bit more premium. I think it's also a marketing ploy, you know. Like, why would you go for an extra 80 quid? You can get all this premium gear and whatnot, you know.
But like, why would you just do that in one region though? You know, like that's
that I don't get.
And like, I think you're right in the sense that like I would have expected, right, the whole world will get this 50 quid down, you know, price or whatever, so that like the entire world will then start buying up all of the standard Switches that are on the market, and then just phase it out. You know, the SWOLED will be, you know, the standard moving forward, because pretty soon they're going to have to upgrade that hardware. Like that's running on some pretty Stone Age stuff right now. So like, you know, they've got to be developing the second one. They have to be, whether we see it soon or not. They have to be. But yeah, it's a weird thing. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Thompson, are you a man that has ownership of some Bluetooth speakers or Bluetooth headphones? Yes, you are. You're holding them to the camera for those who are listening at home.
They're my drum headphones, because I don't like bringing these outside.
Well, Aaron, if you do buy your Switch and you want to connect those very earphones to it, after 4.5 years, you finally can do so. Nintendo has released an update which now allows you to pair Bluetooth earphones to said device. And I've thought this is absolutely bonkers that they hadn't done this like even a month into the at launch of this device. The thing uses Bluetooth. Like every controller you connect to it uses Bluetooth. The Joy-Cons that are connected to the sides of it are using Bluetooth. Why could I not use? Because like, here's the thing, Aaron, you talked about traveling with the Switch. Okay, I've been on trains where I have my Switch and I have my earphones that I'm listening to podcasts on, and I literally have to take them out, put them back in their thing, put them into my bag, take out another set of earphones, plug that into the Switch, listen to that, then I change my mind, I want to listen to the podcast again, I have to put them away, get the other things, put them in. It was a whole thing in 2021, people. But it does seem as if we can do so now. But there is a couple of limitations, and I think that is what shows us why it wasn't as readily available. Maybe Nintendo is just bad with technology. As much as they innovate, they're really bad at the basics. And I think looking at these issues, I can see now why they were struggling with, should we cut this for this reason or should we not? So essentially, if you have your Bluetooth earphones connected, you can only have 2 controllers connected at any one time. So with the Switch, you can generally have up to 8 controllers. So that's a big cut. That's like down, quite a substantial amount. But again, you're probably playing in handheld at that point, so it doesn't matter. And other such features, such as like if you have 4 Switches and a game that supports it, you can connect them all wirelessly and play like a 4-screened game. That's never used, mind you. I think like one game does that, but like that feature goes away when you have Bluetooth earphones connected, stuff like that. So it really seems as if these cool features that never got used were the reason that we couldn't connect these goddamn headphones for 4 years. But sing it from the hilltops, ladies and gentlemen, we can do so. Kerri, you have a Switch. Do you think you will use this feature?
Probably not, if I'm honest. Mainly because I don't actually get much use out of the Switch itself. I bought it for Zelda and Mario, and I bought it more as a novelty. And I do go back to it every once in a while, but I definitely don't use it as much as I should. So I don't think the fact that I can use my Bluetooth headphones is going to make me go running back to it. But it's always nice to have the option.
It is nice to have the option. It's not quite enough to bring you back in, but maybe when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, maybe then.
Yes, I think so.
But yeah, it's a good time to be a potential Nintendo Switch owner. Moving swiftly on, we have a couple of delays, is the word, coming out of Q4 of this year for video games. 1 or 2 I was super excited for. I don't know whether the rest of you guys were, but my 2 big games of Christmas were going to be Battlefield 2042, which was to come out in November, and Dying Light 2, which was also to come out in November. Both of which have been pushed out. I can't remember to where Dying Light was, but it's definitely after January. And Battlefield is pushed out to February. Alongside Horizon Zero Dawn and all the other, it seems like all the video games of Q4 of this year. Does that affect any of you guys, or am I the only Battlefield Dying Light person in this room?
Doesn't affect me a whole lot. Just to clarify as well there, you said Battlefield was pushed out to February. It's actually just pushed out to November, just for anyone listening.
Oh, I read it backwards. Oh, yeah, that's actually not as bad. I thought it was. I thought it wasn't coming till next year.
No, it's only like a month. It's Dying Light that's been pushed to like February, March next year. Like spring is looking stacked next year. So like more stuff is going to end up getting delayed because they're not all going to release on top of each other next year, all the games. But that's a whole other discussion. Battlefield, no, and we already know my feelings on Dying Light. I've spoken about that at length on this show before.
No, we've got time, please. No, of course. I'm really happy. So I was kind of bummed when I read this in the sheet to think, oh no, I don't know why my mind read it as February, but yeah, you're right. It's coming out November 19th for anyone listening at home. But yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm still going to get to play it before Christmas. Cool. But yeah, it is crazy the amount of games that have been pushed out into that Q1 window. How many of them, I wonder, are actually going to hit that window, you know?
That's what I'm wondering. I think a lot of them are going to get out of each other's way, you know?
I think so. I think anyone that's in the same week as Horizon, that's a one-player game, better get the hell out of there.
Yeah. I think Elden Ring might kind of have January lockdown.
That's right. That's January 20th, is it? 21st?
Yeah, January 20th. So it's like January 20th, and then February is like Horizon. And then I think Dying Light might have moved to February, but don't quote me on it. I'm not 100%.
I'm pretty sure. Even though I thought that so did Battlefield, but I'm pretty sure. But anyway, if you have some time off coming to you in Q1 of 2022, God almighty, haven't said that out loud yet. Well, you will have plenty to keep you occupied. So, another thing that's in the news this week, ladies and gentlemen, is TV. Are you aware of its work? Have you heard about TV? We are getting 2 new gaming TV shows. One that we already knew about and one that we didn't. Now, let's talk about the one we did know about first of all. Shane, you are my, gaming adaptations cohort. I need to know your take on this. And then also, Kerri, I need to know your take on this because it's slightly Marvel related. So I want to hear both sides of the coin here. We are getting a Twisted Metal TV series, which was announced back in the day, but I never thought we'd see this come to light. But it looks like it's very much coming to light because Anthony Mackie, aka Falcon, is going to be playing pretty much the lead role in it. This is bizarre from a TV show adaptation perspective. Shane, what do you think it is?
So when I see like a Twisted Metal TV show, my mind just keeps pulling me back to the movie Death Race. So there's like the Death Race 3000 movie from like the 80s or the 70s, whenever it was.
70s, I think,
70s, which is good crack to go back and watch because it's hilariously weird and awful. But then there's like the Jason Statham remake, where which like prisoners on a prison island, and I feel like Twisted Metal's going to go down some kind of route like this, where like, oh yeah, you get time off your prison sentence for joining the Twisted Metal racing series or whatever, because you're a convict, so your life doesn't matter.
Well, that's if they go like gritty realism with it, because like I don't know how familiar any of you guys are with Twisted Metal in terms of its lore, but like there's literally a guy called Calypso who organizes the Twisted Metal every season or whatever, and the idea is everybody that's racing is racing for the ability to be the last man standing, so that Calypso will grant them a wish. Like, it's literally a magic thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people remember that or not, but I wonder, is Anthony Mackie driving to get a wish? I don't know. But speaking of Anthony Mackie, Kerri, what do you think? I know you like Marvel like myself, so when you hear Falcon is now attached to this kind of odd video game property in a TV show, do anything for you?
No, not really. It doesn't sound like it's going to be my kind of program. I will probably watch an episode just to see what it's like, but it definitely doesn't sound like it's going to be my cup of tea. I could be wrong, and I could be absolutely in love with it, but from what was said, I don't think it's going to be my kind of thing, whether Falcon's in it or not.
Yeah, like I don't think it's going to be many people's type of thing. I think it's going to be bad if I had to guess, because like this just, everything about this, now hopefully it comes out and they prove us wrong, but everything about this screams career killing move for Anthony Mackie. He's not famous enough to get away with a bad TV show just yet, you know what I mean? Like, yes, he was the Falcon, and yes, he's getting his own Captain America movie, but like I still feel like he's straddling the line here of like A-list stardom or whatever, like where you can get away with doing these things. This sounds like such a gamble.
Yeah, and like of all the properties, so could have pulled it out of their back pocket. Yeah, like why Twisted Metal? Who went? Twisted Metal is the one that really needs to be a TV show. Of all the things they could have done,
I don't understand what an episode looks like. Sorry, Aaron.
No, I was gonna say it's like the only options I see they have is to just go like all against the wall and make something almost American Gods-esque. Just something as just strange. Like, you can't do Twisted Metal and be like, yeah, this happens in like Detroit every year. Like, do you know what I mean? This needs to be off the wall, like alternative universe. Like, you just have to be into it to understand it, and that's going to be a death sentence in of itself for one. Because I don't know how many people are going to go, yeah, Twisted Metal is like a cinematic universe I really want to get into.
I would rather hear Anthony Mackie is starring in a Crash Bandicoot live series, you know?
Just Anthony Mackie in the 90s Crash Bandicoot suit, you know, that used to show up on the videos and stuff, like when they were doing marketing for Crash Bandicoot. He's just hopping around the place, jumping on some boxes,
spinning
and
around. But no, it's bizarre. Like, what's every episode going to look like? Is it going to be a load of people like? Do you know, like Fast and the Furious? Do you know the way like every Fast and the Furious action scene is like 70% throttle and gear stick? Is it going to be like that? You know, is that what we're in for here? I don't know. But look, let's hope it's like a 1-season thing. They don't get grand aspirations of making a huge storyline to build off of. We will see. The second thing, though, also driving related, is Ubisoft are making a TV adaptation of Driver, another PS1 classic. Wow, that's one I could see working. One I could see working.
It'll work, but does anybody want it?
I kind of do. Like, it depends on what way they go with it. I've not seen anything about it, of course, so, you know, speculation is high. But, like, if it's like a 70s, 80s, you know, Drive type vibe, and it's like, you know, gritty and it has a good stories every episode, I think I could get into a show like that, because it's been a long time since I've seen something like that. Set in San Francisco, you know, just driving through a lot of boxes, that type of Starsky and Hutch type stuff going on. I'd be kind of into that, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this show's already been made. It just hasn't been called Driver. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
true.
I want to see what new they can bring to it, because right now I'm finding it hard to imagine making a TV show that isn't just, as I said, like another TV show that just now has a Ubisoft logo in the opening credits.
Yeah, but sometimes that's okay. I think sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter if the thing is good at the very least. You know, like, I get you, it doesn't need to have that name on it, but like, if that's the impetus for why I get it, then I'm okay with that. But it's such a generic thing. It's just like man in car. You know, it's like the easiest thing to adapt in the world. Like, you know,
I mean, chances are it's most likely, I'm imagining now, based on it's most likely just going to be like the main character, and they're just going to like, here's the TV version of it. It's not based on the game. It'll be based on like the game's characters. Maybe you'll see like some crossover, like some references and what have you. But in the second
there's
game
Tanner.
And
the third game, but
there's
in the first game,
in the first game, I can't remember. Because it's Tanner in the second, third, in San Francisco. The fourth one, Parallel Lines, has what's his name? Because it's the only part of San Francisco.
A lot more about Driver than I expected.
that surprised me.
No, right. I tell you what's the weird thing is, the fourth Driver game is the only one I've really played. Just for some reason I know that because I watched a couple of videos in San Francisco when it came out. But Driver 4 Parallel Lines I got on the Wii, and it was like the closest thing my parents would allow me to have to Grand Theft Auto till I was like 16. So I absolutely rallied it out of it. I love that game, just driving around, because it does a really cool, it actually does, sorry I'm going on like a Driver 4 schmuck here.
Welcome back to the Driver Cast.
Yeah, it does this really interesting thing that I'd love to see a game do again, where you play obviously in New York City. The first half of the game is in 1978, and then the second half of the game is in 2006, and you see the city change. And the way they change, it's like the first half of the game, obviously all the cars are 1970s, and it's all like tinged like vintage, and it's like beige and browns and like dark reds. And then you go to 2006 graphics and everything is like grey and silver and like light blue. It's a cool like little contrast, but you can actually like see the way like buildings have changed and like some businesses are still there and some aren't. Anyway, maybe they'll do that with it. Maybe they'll do it with the TV show. I don't know. Maybe like at the end of every season.
With the driver people, clearly.
Yeah. At the end of every season, he goes to like county jail for like 2 years, and then when he comes out, the city has changed, and it's just that same cycle repeats all day, every day.
New world. They told me it'd be different on the outside. The last news story, though, before we wrap up the news, it was just an interesting one. Thanks again, Shane, for pulling these. It was Roblox is reporting massive daily active user figures. 48 million daily active users this August. Wow, that is crazy. And I just want to say the reason I think it's crazy is like gaming has become this nebulous thing where I think I know a lot about it because I've spent so much time playing video games and talking about video games. But like there is whole massive world-sized video games out there that are happening underneath my nose every day that I know nothing about, and Roblox is one of them. And 48 million daily active users. I've heard that this obviously was a creative game that got picked up by kids, much like Minecraft, and obviously they chased that market quite a bit, but I think it's kind of gone full circle where kids are still playing it, but I think adults are big time into Roblox at the moment. There's a lot of like Twitch streamers using it for like social platforms and like, you know, events happening in it and stuff. I still know nothing about it, but it sounds pretty cool. Has anybody else actually ever played this game?
For context, 48 million is approximately the same population as South Korea.
There you go, South Korea, the game.
Entire population of South Korea plays Roblox. It does bring up, because I've seen people, the way people like interact with Roblox and how it operates now. It's almost like a 3D social media in a way. Like you just hang out with your friends in Roblox, you know?
Yeah.
It's
like Second Life or something like that.
Yeah, you know? And look, I mean, I think inevitably we're gonna get to that stage where people are just, there's gonna be some game will come out somewhere in the future and people are like, right, I'm connecting myself to a tube, water in the veins, food right into the stomach, and all I'm doing is sticking on the VR headset and just living in this game 24/7.
In the future, I'm speaking now to our future fan who is like super into everything that we do and goes back over all of our content religiously. If you are that person, what I want you to do is I want you to pick out every time Aaron got a subject and give us a big blown out explanation of how it's going to happen.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Roblox inevitably is evidence of the fact we're all going to live in like some technocratic future where we hook ourselves into computers for fun.
No, it's true though. It is true. Like I've experienced with that recently, where in the Oculus, you know, there's that thing called VR chat, and it's essentially like that. It's just another space with forums and stuff like that, but it's just rooms, and you can pick what you want to look like, and you can interact with people, and it's mostly children screaming at each other, but like, you know, it is what it is. But like, yeah, we are definitely getting to that point, because like I was looking at people who are taking money for doing dance lessons in, you know, VR chat, or like, you know, people are learning how to paint, you know, because there's somebody there giving lessons, and yes, you are not there physically, but you're still able, like, they're still able to demonstrate you.
But their anime cat girl avatar is,
yes,
and that's all that matters.
Exactly, their anime cat girl avatar is still there, and my hot dog is there taking, you know. But this is the weird world we live in. Roblox goes on to that list of mine that's like, you know, Star Citizen, most MMOs, GTA Online, these types of games that like I don't know anybody in my sphere that is playing them. However, the whole industry is being held up by them.
Yeah. I know a little bit about Roblox from work because I sell a lot of like Roblox gift cards.
Yeah, and you probably sell a lot of like tchotchkes, like figures and stuff too.
Yeah, we sell all that crap too. Yeah, but like, it's like the Roblox gift cards are popular among young kids, especially young girls. Like, I don't get a lot of young girls coming in asking for like Xbox vouchers or PlayStation vouchers, but Roblox vouchers through the roof.
Really?
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. But the issue I take with Roblox a little bit is it's a wonderful place for them to hang out, talk to their friends, do this kind of thing. As we know in Roblox, we've talked about you can like create your own games and you can do fun things. Like you can make like your own version of like Call of Duty in, you know, Roblox or whatever like that. And sometimes when you make those or when they're released, like you have to pay for them. They don't just, even sometimes when you make it, there's, you know, you can charge money for them or whatever. Where I take issue with that is the only way to buy those things is using Roblox vouchers.
Robux, yeah.
Yeah, Robux, there you go. Is by using the Robux. Every single penny of the Robux goes back to the Roblox corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing goes to anybody creating the stuff on this platform.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the case. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so all the money goes back to the Roblox corporation. When you come in and buy like a 20 quid voucher or whatever, and you spend it on something on Roblox, that 20 quid goes to Roblox. It does not go, and none of it goes to the person who created like the little fun zombie killing game or whatever.
Is that what you're buying though? I have no idea what the infrastructure is there, what the storefront is. Like, are you buying experiences like mini games that people have created? Are you buying hats?
You can buy them.
Are you buying like, what is it you're buying?
Think of Roblox like a social media app store.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's 101 free things like there is on every app store, on your phone, on everything. But there's also premium and paid things, and there's skins and character packs and games and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of it is user created, but they see nothing from it.
Yeah, and it's not even like that they're... Yeah, it's not even that, like, they're small mini-games. I've seen, like, people are recreating, like, maps from other games. Like, there's Assassin's Creed games, you know, like, just recreated in Roblox or, like, I'm not sure, but you get something, like, almost a whole map of, like, Grand Theft Auto, like, mapped out if it was possible. Like, it's insane stuff people are building and investing, like, mad amount of time.
What's the impetus then? Does the creator say, I'm going to make this a paid thing and not a free thing? And if they do that, why would they do that if they don't get money?
That's the part I don't understand. That's the part
I think we need to research this. I think there's something, there has to be something there, because unless Roblox is just going through all the content people make and say, that's quite good, people will want that, I'm going to suddenly make your friends have to pay you 20 quid to use it. Do you know?
Possibly. I'm not 100% sure. I just remember I was reading a thing recently about how it's kind of a little exploitative in that way, you know?
Oh, I'm sure it is. Like, that company is after blowing up. But, like I said, we're probably never going to be experienced enough to get into it, because I don't know are we ever going to jump in. Well, I kind of want to now. I kind of do want to know what's going on.
On your next stream, Phil, Roblox stream.
Maybe. And that's a good transition into changes. With streams and whatnot. So I've been thinking about doing a little project and I couldn't figure out where to put it. So I'm going to do it on the streams. So as people may or may not be aware, we've changed our streaming from Twitch over to our YouTube page, Casual Game Content, the same place where this podcast goes up. And as such, all of these streams are kind of like mini YouTube videos now, you know, which is interesting. And you get to do it in a lot better quality, which is also interesting. So I've been thinking about doing little casual playthroughs of stuff, like quick looks, you know, like not like full, every stream we're going to do part 3, part 17 of this game. But every stream doing something different. And the reason I wanted to do it is because I've been kicking around this idea of a Game Pass type show for a long time, where like every week just diving into what's new on Game Pass. I think I might start doing that on the stream. So if you at home are interested in checking these out, I think I'm going to do 2 to 3 Game Pass games every Tuesday over on our YouTube channel. Check us out. Calling it Casual Game Pass. Very original, I know. But taking that, get 2 or 3 good videos, and then I'll edit those down into actual videos for the site, and get kind of like a twofer out of it, you know. But if you wanted to join or watch the full live stream, of course, you can do so. And then if you just want to watch the 15-minute first impression video, you'll have that option. So that's something I'm going to start kicking off tomorrow as you hear this, Tuesday. And yeah, join us if you do want to. And Shane and Kerri and Aaron and any of the rest of our friends of the show, maybe one day I'll help and pull you into my streamyverse one of these days. But yeah, that's the only changes I wanted to announce, and I probably should have done that at the top of the show. But moving swiftly on, let's take this one home. But before we do that, let's jump into the question of the week, shall we?
Yes.
Play that mother effing thing.
Question of the week.
Now, the question of the week this week, as we mentioned, comes from the casual game community over at Facebook, where you can also get involved in the question asking goodness. But this week it comes from Stefan Lennon, who asks, Lenny to his friends, what exclusive from Xbox would you want on PlayStation, or vice versa? Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, let's open this up. Let's blow this wide open and just say, well, what exclusive on any platform would you like to see on, every platform? So that's Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, PC, whatever. Anything that you think that is just kind of unfair that it hasn't been spread around. Aaron, I'm going to pick on you first.
Good. I have an answer already. I played it originally on PS4, but my God, I would do everything in my power to have my firstborn child and give him away just to play Ghost of Tsushima on PC. Please give me Ghost of Tsushima on PC. I want to play that in 21:9 in lovely, lovely graphics.
That would be cool.
Please, even better graphics than what I'm sure we got on PS5, which I still haven't got to play. But there was notions of it being floated around before that Sony were looking at releasing more first party games onto the likes of PC. They were looking at God of War and Ghost of Tsushima. And my God, if that happened, I want Ghost of Tsushima on PC so badly.
You will get it, but you won't get it for like another 2 years.
Do you know what?
Well, here's the thing. Why would you buy a PlayStation if they release the game really soon onto PC? You wouldn't. And that's where they get the double dippers. They get their PC players who buy PlayStations because they don't want to wait.
Yeah,
but
that's true, yeah.
Like, you just got Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn. I think God of War is going to be next, and that's like a 2017 game, So, like...
True.
It's going to be a while, but like, you can guarantee that game is going to come to PC.
Yeah.
I'd say God of War most likely be next, with the second one coming out, because they'll probably just be like, look, we'll get more people into God of War to play, and that's I'll wait for that. I'll wait the 2 years for Ghost of Tsushima. I don't mind. I just want it so bad. It's the same as like how we got Red Dead Redemption on PC. Like, it's the same spirit, same energy. I just want to be riding a horse through an old. I just want to be riding horses through an old Japanese field. But yeah, it's just that's all I want. I've been following it for ages. Every so often, I'll just be sitting here and the notion will hit me again. I'm like, surely there's another article written on Ghost of Tsushima coming to PC, and I'll just have to look it up just to know how much closer I am to getting it. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's a good one. I would be very surprised if we don't end up getting it someday, but it would be nice to just hit that light switch, and then everybody, give me Ghost of Tsushima on the Switch. I want to see what that looks like. That'd be ugly as all hell. Okay, so nice one, Aaron. Kerri, got to pick on you next. What do you think?
So I'm torn between two, so I'm going to pick two.
Please do.
Gears of War and Halo.
Good.
I love Gears of War, and now I've slowly kind of gone to the dark side of being Sony, mostly because of Destiny. Some of the guys I play with, they love the idea of Gears of War, but they're not going to buy an Xbox purely to try that out, and it's such a good game. And then Halo, obviously being Bungie, I love it, and it would be awesome to be able to play that with my Destiny friends, but obviously that's Xbox, so yeah, they would be my two choices.
they're two great choices. I think Gears in particular would do really well elsewhere. I think Halo obviously would. Halo does great wherever it goes. But Gears I think is always been restricted by being on the Xbox. Like those last two, like the first three games I love, but 4 and 5. I was just thinking about this when I was cooking dinner today, so it's funny you bring up Gears. Is I have this weird relationship with Gears of War where I will play them repeatedly with a friend, and then when I have to play them by myself, like I did with 4 and 5, I play them. I really, really enjoy them. I put them down, and then when the next one comes out, I go back and I finish it, and that has been the way for 4 and is currently the way with 5. Yeah, if you're looking for people to play Gears with, Kerri, give us a shout. We'll set that up for sure. But that is that. Shane, what about you, man?
So I have a couple as well. First of all, as someone who has mainly had PlayStations for the last few years, I do dabble in the Xbox. I've owned them alright. I do enjoy them, but Forza. I want Forza, specifically the Horizon series, because I'm not into the kind of racing sim side of racing games. I like the more fun ones, which is what Horizon is, you know. Like when I seen all that stuff about like all the Hot Wheels DLC for Forza like a few years ago, I was like, man, that looks like such fun. And now we're getting a Hot Wheels game, which is great, but like it just looked like such a ton of fun as someone who enjoys a really well made racing game.
Yes, it's a great choice. It's funny how both of you picked Xbox exclusives as well, because I think like Xbox is just so underrepresented in Europe in general, isn't it? Like people just don't get to play those games because their primary console is the PlayStation generally. But yeah, like it's like Horizon is the most fun car-based video game ever made. It's fantastic, and like Hot Wheels is a great example of a DLC. But you would especially love the Lego DLC. That is top notch.
Oh yeah,
so
of
much
course.
fun.
I'm it's the one thing I pine for when I see like an Xbox, and I'm like, I can't spend that money for Forza. I can't.
I think if you did, you would be happy with your decision. I genuinely think you would go, oh, because like when the second you go over the fence, you kind of realize, with exception to those exclusive games, so not a lot going on over on the Sony side of the fence, you know.
No, and to be fair, like I play an awful lot of multi-platform games as well. Like the huge bulk of my library is multi-platform. I just like when a Sony exclusive drops, it's usually some top tier gaming. As well. So it's hard to beat. Whereas when an Xbox exclusive drops, which is rare these days,
they're coming faster now.
They're getting better. Like I don't know. Maybe because I haven't been in the ecosystem for a while. Oh, I feel dirty saying the word ecosystem. I know. It just feels like that their exclusives, apart from Forza, don't hit that top tier the way Sony does. You know, they don't hit the same way, as the kids say.
Yeah, so like Forza, I would argue does.
Yeah.
Gears, I would argue does. Halo has had a couple of rough years. But yeah, I agree with you. They don't have. The one thing Xbox doesn't have that they need is a studio to develop over-the-shoulder, third-person, story-based adventure games. Because like that's all fucking Sony does.
I know, and they make bank off it too. Like
they're good. That's the problem. They're good, but like that's the one genre that Xbox hasn't figured out yet, and it seems like they're getting those in the year or two to come. So like, Bethesda is going to have all those exclusive on there. Starfield, for example, like there's going to be a resurgence, I think, in that. But yeah, like when you take an Xbox and you take Game Pass, like this whole question of stuff that's locked onto one system is one thing, but like there's so many games that people won't play because they can't afford any other games. Having something like Game Pass even breaks that open even further, where it's like I can play most things on this system. Because like if it's not on it today, it's probably on it next month. It's a crazy opportunity. Like, so I think the moral of the story is, Shane, we're getting you an Xbox. We're going to crowdfund you an Xbox.
We'll start a Patreon. That'll be a tier. We'll get me an Xbox. But before we wrap up this question, I do have to dabble a little bit into the amount of things locked behind owning a Nintendo device.
Well, that's where I was going to go. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Like, man, I'd love to play some Pokemon without having to go and buy a Switch. Or Mario. Or Zelda. Or whatever else that they own. Luigi's Mansion, you know, those 100 million other games that they own and are so good.
Yes. I think any Nintendo first party would sell anywhere, and I think it's a pity that not everybody can play them. However, it goes back to what we were talking about with their consoles. That's why they're still so expensive. You know, it's the only place to play them, baby. Either pay up or don't play. You know, and kids won't accept don't play. So you know? Exactly,
and that's how. That's why Nintendo still make consoles. Nintendo could drop out the console game altogether and put their stuff on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, mobile, everywhere, and make absolute killings. But they're like, no, we can tap that hardware market as well and bring people into our, once again, the dirty word that is ecosystem.
Yeah. I think as well, I was thinking Mario and I was thinking Zelda, and I kind of want them almost to be Nintendo things, because I kind of do like the experience of playing those games on Nintendo hardware, because they do make hardware that's fun, and playing those games is fun, and it's just a whole experience. But if I wanted to bring one thing that's kind of locked into Nintendo consoles that isn't even a Nintendo property, they only own part of it, is Pokemon. Yeah. Like, I think Pokemon should be everywhere. Like, it should be on PC, it should be on PlayStation, should be on Xbox. And specifically, I think, do you know, like, the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters that came out recently, where they're doing, like, 1 to 6 and they're upscaling them and whatever, but they're the original games. I would love to see like the first 6, you know, games in the Pokemon franchise just brought over into these collections or whatever, like a Mega Man collection or something, with artwork and with behind the scenes stuff or whatever, and just play Pokemon Blue. Just play that, you know, because I pick it up once every year or two and it's still great, you know. So I'd love to see that personally. Open Pokemon to the masses.
You do have the Pokemon remakes already, but the problem is how scattered they are. Do you know what I mean? It's like, especially like what you're talking about with the Final Fantasy releases. That's so nice that you can just go, give me all of them. I can wrap all my arms around them and pull them in. Whereas
only on PC and mobile, mind you.
That's true. But when it comes to Pokemon, you're like, oh well, actually no. Well, that remake's on it's only on like 3D, but that one's on Switch and that one's here. And yeah, you're right. Like it'd be just if you could just go, here's the Pokemon. It's just all the Pokemon. Just take the Pokemon, eat the Pokemon, play the Pokemon, enjoy the Pokemon.
Need Pokemon, send Pokemon. Yeah. It's true, and like that could be a nice little thing you do with your child if you have one, to say like, okay, you want this for Christmas? Well, you need to beat Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Black, Pokemon Pearl before Christmas, okay? Just go, okay, and you never see him again. But that is that. I think all in all, some pretty great selections there. Ghost of Tsushima, of course, Gears of War and Halo, for Horizon, Forza Horizon, and of course the Pokemans. Who can forget them? But that is that, guys. I think this has been a great show. We are at a spelt 110, 115-ish. So how about we take it on home? Everyone cool with that?
Lovely.
All right, let's do this thing. So, guys, if you have never been here before, welcome to what has been the most casual episode of the most casual podcast about gaming in the known universe, the Casual Gamecast, if you will. And if you have been here before, thank you for stopping by again. We really adore you, and we really adore the support that you give us. But if you want to give us a little bit more, you can like the podcast, share the podcast, comment in the podcast, tell a friend about the podcast. And this week, I'm going to ask you to run out there and tell your local gaming retailer in a gaming retailer that we shan't speak its name of to listen to the podcast. And maybe you'll run into Shane.
Who knows? Maybe.
If you do, it's a weird Inception thing, and he now has to go off and tell another gaming retailer, and it's a whole thing.
I'll just send an internal email around work.
Yeah, oh please, actually, could you? We'll talk after the show. But yeah, that has been it, guys. Thanks a million for joining us again on episode 56. I have been Phil, he's been Shane, she has been Kerri, and he has been Aaron. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Take care, stay safe, but most of all, stay casual. Bye.